Alrighty, so just a little over a week ago, we got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse that released in theaters. That is the 10th Spider-Man film, the 13th if you are including the 3 Venomverse movies, which I am. So today, I'm going to rank all 13 Spider-Man movies. Before I do that, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and comment down below. What is your ranking of all 13 Spider-Man films, or all 10 name brand Spider-Man films? Which Spider-Man's your favorite? Which Spider-Man franchise is your favorite? And with that said, we are going to get started talking about these 13 films with number 13. Take a wild guess. It's Across the Spider-Verse. Just kidding. It's Morbius. Morbius is the worst film ever made. Morbius is garbage. I would rather die before watching Morbius again. I've seen this movie 4 times. I've seen this movie 4 times. I watched it on a church van on my way to Oklahoma for camp. I watched it on the way back home because I almost fell asleep on the first one because it was 6 in the morning. I watched it with my best friend, and I watched it with my family, and each time it sucked. It sucked. It sucked. It was terrible. I cannot believe that there is a movie that is this incompetent. The performances are bad. The story is bad. The story, I've seen it 4 times and I don't even remember what the story was. The story was, bad guy wants to become Morbius. Morbius is Morbius, and Morbius fights and kills bad guy. That's what this movie is. Why? Why is this movie so incompetent? There's a part where Matt Rose starts dancing to a song that says, "Have sex." Why? Why? This movie is just so confusing and so stupid. And at the same time, it's just so boring and incompetent and dull and messy. Nothing about the movie makes sense at all. It's like no writers were a part of this. I just cannot believe that Marvel, that Sony would make a movie just so incompetent that every time I speak of this movie, every time I look at the cover of this movie, I'm filled with so much rage. Because why? Why would you make a movie this incompetent? This is the studio that made the Spider-Verse movies. They made all the Spider-Man movies, and then they make Morbius. Why? Why would they make Morbius? This is just a bad decision by a bunch of stupid people that I cannot stand this movie, and I wish it would burn. I wish that this movie could just burn out of my mind, that I would never have to watch it, but I've seen it 4 times, and somehow that makes it a lot worse. Instantly coming next up is Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and now we got a masterpiece to talk about. Well, not actually a masterpiece, but it's a masterpiece compared to Morbius. So Let There Be Carnage, this is along the same lines as the first Venom. I think these 2 movies are fun. They're fun. They're crazy, they're wild, they're exhausting, but they're fun. The thing that brings this one just a little under Venom 1 is because I've seen this movie twice, and it's not as near as fun or rewatchable as the first Venom was. The first Venom, there's so many scenes in there that make me laugh. There's so many scenes that make it watchable, that make it to be a coherent and fun movie. For this one, it was just like, yeah, that was fun. I don't know if I would rather watch this one over the first one. And so they were just kind of combined together, compared together, and I would much rather watch the first one over watching this one. This one, however, does have Woody Harrelson as Carnage, which is great. The action sequences are fun. There's just a little much thrown in here. I don't like the plot line about Shriek. I don't like the plot line about Venom losing his powers, or Eddie losing his Venom powers. I don't like any of that. What I do like, though, is just the big, fun, dumb action sequences and the chemistry between Tom Hardy and Venom. I think all that is great. It's not as fun or as rewatchable as the first one. It's still fun, though. And speaking of that, in 11th place is the first Venom. And like I said, I love the chemistry between Tom Hardy and Venom. The action sequences were fun in this one. It's not a flawless movie. It's definitely got its problems, but it is definitely flawless compared to Morbius. So that's saying something. Like I said, I like the chemistry. The action set pieces are fun. The jokes in this one, each time I watch it, I catch more and more, and I laugh even more each time I watch it. So it's just like, these two movies are fun movies. They're fun movies. They're enjoyable enough. And that's all you need to be, is to enjoyable enough movies. Sure, a lot of it's incompetence, a lot of it's stupidity, but a lot of it is just dumb fun with Tom Hardy and Venom joking around. And that's what I'm here for. And this one does it better than the sequel, and this one's more entertaining. I don't like Riot. I don't think he's a great villain, but, you know, it's a fun movie. You don't have to be a 10 out of 10 movie each time you make a movie. Then, kicking off in 10th place, this begins our actual Spider-Man ranking, and that is The Amazing Spider-Man. This movie is not great. It's not even close to good. Now, when we get to the Peter Parker stuff, everything with Peter Parker is absolutely some of the best stuff we've ever had in a Spider-Man movie. Because with Peter Parker, you get Peter and his relationship with Gwen, and Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield have excellent chemistry on screen. Love this Uncle Ben. I think that this Uncle Ben in this movie is the best Uncle Ben that we ever have. I like the interesting plotline of Peter's parents are from the CIA. I think that really works. Just everything with Peter Parker is just unique and original, and I think it's done better than the Raimi trilogy, in my opinion. But when we get to the Spider-Man stuff, it instantly goes from Spider-Man searching for this guy. Oh no, Spider-Man has to stop the lizard. Oh no, he knows the lizard knows he's Spider-Man. Oh no, it's some fights. And when we get to the third act, it's entertaining. Yeah, I do enjoy the third act a lot, but it's just, wow. I mean, the whole middle act feels long, but at the same time rushed. There's not enough time for Peter to acknowledge that he's Spider-Man. He becomes Spider-Man and is instantly like, whoa, I'm Spider-Man, baby. And then just starts swinging around the city and fighting crime. And that's pretty much it. I mean, even like in there's so much stuff that goes through this movie. Captain Stacy finds out he's Spider-Man. Gwen Stacy finds out he's Spider-Man. He fights the lizard. The lizard finds out he's Spider-Man. And so much of this is just rushed through to where it doesn't feel competent in the whole middle act. And when we get to the third act, it switches around. I was entertained, but it's just nowhere near as good as a lot of the other Spider-Man movies were. And sure, the Peter Parker stuff is the best Peter Parker stuff we've ever gotten, but just the Spider-Man stuff really needed some work. Ninth place, Spider-Man 3. And this is a movie that I've always enjoyed out of the Raimi trilogy. I never liked the Raimi trilogy until I watched it this last time. And this movie I did enjoy, while it did have some pretty big problems. For starters, with the positives, I do like the plotline of Peter becoming Venom and becoming dangerous. I do think that was really done really well in here. I like the Sandman. I like the Venom. I like Harry Osborn as the Goblin. I think all that mellows well. And I think the first two acts were paced pretty well. That gets us to the third act, which is just this big battle. And it's all really fun. It's all really interesting. And it all comes together full circle. Sure, there are the negatives. I mean, this movie is really long to where by the final minutes of the movie, I was just like, come on, just let it end. Quit dragging out. Each movie ends with a scene at a funeral or whatever, and it all just feels repentant and boring, and I got annoyed by the end of the movie. And then don't forget that Harry is not Norman Osborn through the whole time. He's not Osborn. He's not the Goblin through the whole time. There's a couple interesting decisions here. But, I mean, overall, for a Spider-Man movie, it's not a bad movie. It's just got some issues that really hold it back, especially that really long length. And the length of the last two movies on this list, of the last two movies in the Raimi trilogy, kind of made the Raimi trilogy not as entertaining. I never liked the Raimi trilogy. This rewatch made me enjoy it just a little more, though. Then, after Spider-Man 2, we got Spider-Man Far From Home. And this is a real interesting one for me, because in one way, I really do like this movie. I enjoy the plot. I enjoy the premise. I enjoy Spider-Man. I enjoy Peter Parker in this movie. His chemistry with Jake Gyllenhaal was off the charts good. I enjoy the twist that Jake Gyllenhaal did. The problem here is it's really paced and written in just not a good way whatsoever. The pacing is way off the charts to where the beginning of the movie is Peter Parker going on vacation, meeting Nick Fury, and then getting these glasses that Tony Stark left for him. That's fine. But then when we get to the middle act, it's all these big, giant creatures, and you're like, those are bad villains. They don't make sense at all. And then after that, the whole twist relies on Mysterio's plan that makes no sense. He's going to sweet-talk this boy into giving him the glasses? Like, that just wouldn't work in real life. That just did not work in the movie, and it should not have worked, and it did. And it just made me sit back, and I was like, huh, that was okay. And while there's still some big positives, the twist is great, the freaking final credit scene is absolutely incredible. Incredible. Sets up No Way Home great. The problem with this movie is there's just so many pacing and writing issues in the movie that it definitely should have been better. Spider-Man 2 is next, and I know this is one that you'll probably be shocked. You're like, Raimi's Spider-Man 2? Why? And let's be honest, first time I ever watched this movie, I felt that it was just a little bit dull and uninteresting. Rewatching it here, I really enjoyed the film. People might say to you, oh, it's overstuffed, many plot lines in the movie. And the way I see it, I sit back and I'm like, yeah, but Raimi combines them really well. At that, I sat back and I was like, yeah, I can totally see that Spider-Man would quit at the time this happening. It didn't feel like rushed or put on. I think it really was entertaining and great. On top of that, Dr. Octopus is very good villain. He's made in a way that you don't want him to win, but you don't want him to lose or die because you know he's a good guy and it's just the machines that are talking to him. Instead of him just like in the comics being pure evil, he's just a broken man. And you want him to succeed, but at the same time you want him to fail, and it's really interesting. The action is still great, even though the middle act didn't have any. I never felt bored by the movie. The thing with this movie is it is just a bit too overlong. Same thing with Spider-Man 3. At the end of the movie, I just sat back. I was like, okay, it can end now. The movie can end now. It's not as fun or as interesting as it was before. It's fine. You can end. And even though I still really did dig the ending, he finally got MJ, the twist where we finally are getting Harry Osborn as a Green Goblin, all that was interesting. That set up a pretty good final movie in the franchise. The thing is, it's just like, it's way too long, and these movies definitely should have shaved 20 minutes off. Other than that, it's a really fun movie, but both of these last two Raimi films, just the length really put me out of it at the end of it. Maybe one more watch of the whole trilogy will make me really like the trilogy, but the length is really what killed it. Sixth place, The Amazing Spider-Man numero uno, and this is another very controversial one, because a lot of people hate this movie. Not me. I dig this movie. I think it does a lot right in the movie. Sure, it does a lot wrong, like it's not even really a Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man is barely in it. There's the treatment of Electro, where it's not good. He's just a guy who's obsessed with Spider-Man for some reason, and it's just really weird and doesn't work at all. The throwing in of the Venom at the end of the movie, I wish he was in it more. But the thing is, the Peter Parker stuff is still in here, and it's still really good. Again, Peter and Gwen is fantastic in this movie, and when Gwen dies, you feel those emotions, and you feel those stakes, and you feel the weight of that. You like the action sequences. I think they're pretty fun. I don't hate the Green Goblin like a lot of people do. I think he's done okay. I do think that he's performed really well as well. Like how they were trying to set up a trilogy with the Sinister Six. I think that would have really worked, and I wish we would have gotten a third movie. Like I said, I still really dug the CIA, Peter's parents stuff, because I really did feel invested in that plotline, and I think it really worked. There's just a lot here that really works, that made this just a fun watch for me. And even though there were so many negatives in this movie, so many, it's kind of just that one movie that's a guilty pleasure for me. That is just like, a lot of people hate it. It's one of those movies that if it's entertaining for me, I will enjoy it. And it was entertaining. And it does a lot of things right, in my opinion, while also doing a lot of things wrong. 5th place, we got Raimi's original Spider-Man. And this is a movie that I, again, never liked until I did. That I never liked until I rewatched the Raimi trilogy. And this one I do think really worked. And I think a reason for that is the recent Marvel movies have just been like the same thing over and over. The character goes place, fights bad guy, escapes bad guy, and does a big CGI battle, kills the villain or beats up the villain or whatever. This one was different. It's an entertaining origin story that has everything that Sam Raimi does that is really done well in here. And then, instead of having a big CGI battle, it's the Green Goblin street fight with the Goblin. And I think that's really done well. The final action sequence was really good. And the way it sets up the rest of the franchise to where instantly we get Harry Osborn, who hates Spider-Man now, MJ, all that stuff. It's just a refreshing origin story. There's some nice things in there. The action pieces are fun. The suit is great. The CGI is not good, but J. Jonah Jameson is great. Sam Raimi isms in here is great. For an older Spider-Man movie, it's just refreshing to go back and watch this after watching all the crap that the MCU has been throwing at us lately. And it just makes that fresh and fun, and I really like that movie. Into the Spider-Verse is next, and this is a movie that for me, ever since from 4 up, these are all A+ movies. These are our perfect movies. I love these movies. With Into the Spider-Verse, it definitely changed the game in animation. It's groundbreaking, it's incredible, it's awesome, and it looks great. I never liked this movie when I walked out of the theater, honestly, because they killed off Peter Parker, and I was still shocked by that. But that was one of the first times in the movies where I felt true emotion to where something really worked. And then rewatching it, it's just like a classic movie. Miles Morales is great in here. The action pieces are great. The pacing is great. All the Spider-Man are great. This is just a fantastic origin story that I'm so happy exists, because then we get across the Spider-Verse. And it's great. And then, like I said, it's just groundbreaking, the animation that it does and the stuff it does and the emotions it does. It proves that it's another movie by Lord and Miller that proves that not all animated movies have to be for kids. They can be great superhero movies, great movies. And this is just another groundbreaking movie with fantastic emotions, fantastic action pieces, fantastic Spider-Man story that sets up Miles' arc throughout the rest of this franchise. I think it's great. It's awesome. And Into the Spider-Verse is a fantastic introduction to this franchise. And it's going to become down the best opening intro in an entire trilogy ever made if Beyond the Spider-Verse becomes a fantastic movie as much as Across the Spider-Verse was. 3rd place, we got Spider-Man Homecoming. And this is a movie that, once it came out, I hands down said that this was my favorite movie of all time. Because not only is it just does a great Spider-Man movie right, but it does a great high school Spider-Man movie right. Stuff that I never felt the rest of the Spider-Man franchise did was great high school. I mean, sure, we got Gwen Stacy's arc. We got the Sam Raimi movies where he's in high school. When we get to Homecoming, there's never anything quite like it where he's in high school and he's with these characters and he's just a kid that is Spider-Man. And on top of that, we get Tony Stark in here, and that's all really done. And the villain here is great. The villain's motive is really great. And then the twist in the end, no one even saw coming. It's just done so well. And it's also, besides that, it's not only that, but it's just entertaining. And it has so many Spider-Man Easter eggs that sets up Spider-Man inside the MCU. And it's great. It's funny. It's entertaining. John Watts is able to craft the perfect introduction to the best MCU trilogy, which is the Spider-Man trilogy, because it's just a high schooler, and you feel the weight of this kid. The weight. You feel how he's Spider-Man. He's not like, I'm going to do it to save the world. He's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's not fighting a world-ending villain. He's fighting the Vulture who's trying to rob Stark. It's not just the big end-of-the-world stuff. It's fresh inside the MCU, and I just have so much nostalgia for this because I used to watch it over and over. I love this movie. Here we go. What is 2nd place? What is 1st place? 2nd place is going to go to No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home is just so so very good. Not only is it just a perfect ending to Peter Parker and the Peter story, but also it honors Spider-Man by bringing in Raimi's Spider-Man, bringing in Andrew Garfield, and they all have excellent chemistry. And then it fixes a lot of the problems that we've had with the villains by making them just these humans that Peter Parker wants to save. And it's just that. And the action sequences are great. The suits that he's wearing are great. The chemistry he has with everyone is great. The emotions are great. I mean, like I said, closing out Peter Parker's story in this trilogy, because Aunt May dies. And then he has to have the whole world forgetting him, which latches on to a fresh start, a great start for a new trilogy that Spider-Man's going to have. And it's just done so perfectly well. And it's just so entertaining and fun. And the characters are great. And this is the movie that saved me. After this one, I saved my channel, to be more honest with you. After this one, I was going to delete my entire YouTube channel. And then I watched this, I was like, I love movies. It just saved my opinion on movies. And now look at me. Ever since then, we've grown 20 subscribers bigger, which isn't really saying much, but we still did it. And, I mean, it's just crazy how this movie can be so special to me. It's so entertaining, so fun, so action-packed. And it's just great. And I loved every second of the movie. But you know what movie I loved more? I love Across the Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse is just a perfect movie. Not only does it honor who Spider-Man is by having the main plot of the movie being that Miles cannot save everyone, but he tries to save everyone. And when we go to the Spider-Verse and we get all the cameos and everything from the Spider-Verse. But not only that, it's like No Way Home, to where we have Miles' story. And Miles' story is not over yet. It is just done so perfectly well. And Miles has an arc here that is going to be completed in the end. And the whole premise that he does, trying to save the people, is emotional and dangerous. And it's not only just Miles. It's Gwen. Everything that makes who Spider-Man is. Where her father finds out that she is Spider-Man. And that is just so perfectly well. From the beginning of the movie, you can tell that it's just honoring Spider-Man. It's honoring Spider-Man. It's not trying to create a whole new franchise. It's honoring him. And it's really great and awesome. And I loved it. Loved every second of it. And then the plot twist had me on literally standing up and clapping at the end of the movie. It's groundbreaking, not only for animation, but for superhero movies and for Spider-Man. And it's just so thought-provoking and so perfect to where I cannot believe that this movie exists. It is just so good and so fresh and so unique that it has to be number one. So thank you guys for clicking on this video. I'm sorry about my throat stuff. I'm really not feeling good. But I had to get this video out to you guys because I'm way behind on videos. Anyways, thank you guys for clicking on this video. Tell me down below, what is your ranking of all 13 Spider-Man movies? I got riled up a lot. I got emotional a lot. But I want to know what your ranking is. Stay tuned for a whole bunch of other videos. And with that said, subscribe, join the Nerd Army. Peace out.